All right, hello and welcome to Political Voice. I'm Moses Humphrey. Now, it's one of those days in the life of our dear country, Nigeria, when the unthinkable not only happens, but also leaves us with more than enough food for thought. All right, and indeed, Nigerians are wondering what is going on. Well, a notorious terrorist, Abdullahi Abubakar, popularly known as Dogo Gide, has claimed responsibility for the shooting down of a Nigerian Air Force helicopter on a rescue mission in Niger State. And that one happened on Monday. Now, in a 2-minute, 17 seconds video clip, that was published online by someone who pleaded anonymity, Gide's fighters were seen celebrating the shooting down of the helicopter with a voice in the clip narrating how the helicopter was shot down. Well, military authorities said the helicopter crashed while on a casualty evacuation mission near Chukuba village, near Shiroro. Now, the helicopter was on its way to evacuate some of the soldiers killed by the terrorists during an ambush in the state. In the background, AK-47 rifles toting terrorists chanted, God is grace, and then they laughed mockingly. Well, they were jubilant that they shot down a Nigerian Air Force helicopter. Oh well, to make sense of this, I have with me in the studio CP Chuks, who is a security expert and former commissioner of police in Oyo State. Good to have you with us in the studio.
Good morning to you, and good morning to the viewers.
All right, then. Welcome once again.
Thank
now,
you very much.
When you saw that, when you saw when you saw the news that a Nigerian Air Force helicopter was brought down, crashed rather. That was what the military said.
Yes.
And then, what came to your mind? First of all, do helicopters just crash?
They do.
Like that?
Yes, just like that. It depends on the level of maintenance and the state of the helicopter. Those are the major issues that can bring down the chopper from the skies.
But as it is, this one was not brought down from what we are hearing, as a group has come out to claim responsibility for it, which of course we know is a normal thing in states where terrorists are contending with the government. When there's an attack, they claim responsibility to show that yes, they are making an impact. Now, for this group led by a certain individual, Dogo Gide, claiming responsibility, what does that tell you, really?
Well, you know, the terrorists, they are like, how do I put it? They make unnecessary claims to show their relevance and that they are on ground. As far as this issue that happened near Shiroro is concerned, I don't at all in any iota of belief accept that it is the handiwork of the terrorists. They are just making useless claims.
Well, you call it useless claims, but
Yes.
In the video that was seen online, unfortunately, for certain reasons, we can't play that here right now.
Yes.
But from that video that was seen online, they showed soldiers on the ground, dead bodies rather. They showed dead bodies on the ground.
Yes.
We don't know if those were Nigerian soldiers or, those people that wore clothes of Nigerian soldiers. But they showed bodies and of the ground. And then they showed the helicopter, the crashed helicopter. There was, it was evident in the video.
Well, Photoshop's what they do these days. It is very likely that the helicopter crash would have been very far distance from the scene of crime where they must have ambushed the military personnel. Because is it easy to bring down a chopper? What capacity in terms of munition or arms do they have to bring down chopper? What you can use in bringing down helicopters are things like what they call manpad or,
You can't use
ground to surface.
AK-47 rifles.
AK cannot bring down helicopter.
What if the helicopter came, slightly lower, reduces its altitude? Can it have
But is there any evidence that they got the chopper? The thing is that if you look at the scene where the crash site, if you get the details of the crash site, you will see that the distance from where they ambushed the soldiers will be very, very far. So I believe that
But did you see it? Have you seen
the video clips?
Yes, the video
I did. I saw the video clips. So possibly when the video clips was shown, nothing stops the terrorists from downloading it and presenting it as if they are standing close to the. That's why I say it's Photoshop that the useless people we are showcasing in order to show that they have the strength and capacity to bring down Air Force helicopter. And the helicopter is not a combat helicopter. It is helicopter meant for evacuation. It's like air ambulance that picks people for an emergency rescue to see, especially those who have survived and have chances of, they must have been attacked and they have chances of survival. So that's the essence of the helicopter. And the helicopter's mission was to pick those affected military personnel to Kaduna, which I know they have the facilities by the military medical facilities are very up to date in Kaduna. And the flight time from the Shiroro to Kaduna wouldn't take them more than 30 minutes to get there, which if you begin to do through roads, which are mined with ambush and dangers and all that, it will take you not less than 3-4 hours to go from Shiroro to Kaduna. So you see that the helicopter is the fastest way to get them across.
Okay, now let me take an excerpt of a print of what was said in the video.
Okay.
As documented by a particular daily, Premium Times. Premium Times, I'm going to quote them now, as they made to interpret what was being said in the video. And they said they wanted to kill Dogo Gide, but Dogo Gide, by God's grace, is still alive, and he will not die by soldiers' bullets. These are soldiers lying on the ground. Look at them. And their helicopter lying wasted. I want you people to repent, because we don't have any problem with anyone. We will not kill anyone except those who plan to attack us. And then he goes on to say, look at this. It's the work of Allah who has given us the strength. We shot down the helicopter with all 47 rifles. Look at them. We want you to repent, because it's not our mission to be killing people. What we want is for everyone to repent, especially the leaders that send these soldiers to attack us and they are being killed. God will apprehend them in the hereafter. We will not retreat because of their helicopter or fighting equipment. Dogo Gide, whom they want to kill, is still alive. It goes on, showcasing the AK-47 rifles as what they used in bringing down the helicopter. You don't believe this?
I don't believe that. You see, the thing is this. In a scenario where you have asymmetric war, any side could be victim. And it's unfortunate the Nigerian military ran into ambush. No matter how sophisticated your combat team is, you can run into ambush. So they shouldn't come out to begin to make too much noise. They are very lucky as far as the scenario is concerned that it worked out for them this time around. The helicopter that came, like I earlier analyzed, is not an operational helicopter. It is for medical evacuation. If it were to be combat helicopter, who are those animals? They would have cleared the whole place. If it were to be combat helicopter...
So are you now agreeing that it was brought down?
It wasn't brought down. They are just rumor-mongering and trying to raise their ego so that the people around the neighborhood, they are trying to induce more fears into them so that they will believe that they have upper hand against the military and against the national security, which I think is not true. The truth of the matter is that with this thing that has happened, you see the way the military will come for a counter-offensive. The thing is that those terrorists have mastered the forest. As they have done what they did, they will leave the scene completely and migrate to another area. So it is incumbent on the people, if they are patriotic, they will need to get information on their movements and pass it to security agencies, including the military. They need to monitor them and know the area where they have migrated to, so that when the military wants to deal with them, they will geolocate them easily. And just one aerial movement, area combat operation, will wipe out the useless people completely, to wipe out the terrorists. And you see, one thing about the military strategy in operations is that they try to minimize casualty on the part of the civilian populace. So that is why they don't just go from the air to, deal with a particular area that has been identified to be occupied by terrorists. So they try to get the thing to the details. That's the essence of having the recce operation, who will go incognito and come like villagers, like cattle rearers and so on and so forth, and be able to confirm whatever information that has been given, whether it is true, and from the information they will communicate, the air group, I mean that's the Air Force combat operation, will now geolocate the place so that it will be pinpoint accuracy as far as the operation is concerned. And it will be done in such a way that there won't be so much collateral damage to the extent of loss of lives on the part of civilians.
How easy is it for a military as sophisticated as we believe the Nigerian military is to be ambushed by individuals that one can say have really no training? They're just
No, let me even
individuals.
respond to that. That's why I say it can happen to anybody. The military was oblivious.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yes.
It can happen to anybody
Yes.
with the availability of satellites, or don't we have those anymore? To look and see where activity is being taking place, where people are moving in certain ways.
Well, in this case, like I told you, the people are pedestrian. They are not static in a particular place. If they commit atrocities, for instance, in Lagos, let me take Lagos for example, assuming this place is a highly forested area. If they commit atrocities in, say, like Mafoluku, within the next 2-3 hours, they will be in Aja. They will walk through the desert because they know that there will be retaliation. By the time you come, ask villagers questions, you don't even know the direction they have gone.
Don't we have drones that follow these things, that follow these movements?
It depends on the effectiveness of the drone.
Do we have drones that are
We do have drones. But the thing is, how effective are they, especially in some of those areas, those highly isolated areas? For the drone to be able to detect and discern the people that are friendly forces and the people that are enemies to the state actors. Yes, enemies of the state.
Now let's look at the person of this individual, Dogo Gide.
Yes.
That's now we know of him. Now we know his acclaimed profile. Now we hear that he was radicalized by Boko Haram.
Okay.
Right. Initially, he was just attacking. He was a radical, attacking the villages, rustling cattle. But then he was approached and asked to join the Boko Haram sect and rather attack government and its infrastructures and establishment. And then we also have the information that this individual teamed up with two other individuals. One is known as Kachala, Ali Kawajo, but better known as Kachala. This particular individual, also that's Kachala now,
Yes.
claims to have shot down a NAF helicopter in Zamfara in 2022. All right, he claims to have done that, and that's accredited to him. Now, Dogo teamed up with Kachala and also Malam Abba, an Ansaru leader, to abduct passengers of the Kaduna Abuja bound train last year. This apparently is credited to this individual and his teammates. You know, the other Malam Abba and Kachala, as to have participated in the abduction of the Abuja Kaduna train victims. So, with this information, let's assume this is true, that he is this much of a player in terrorist activities in Nigeria. Let's assume it is true. Now, don't you think that the military should have first-hand information on him, and if he did partake in the Kaduna Abuja train, how were they able to negotiate with them to release those that were released? Because some people were released.
You see, these terrorists, in their modus operandi, are not easily reached. It is such that you have layers before you get to the leaders. They have their foot soldiers, they have their intermediaries. So the negotiation, just because of the value we place on human lives, was why the government in the first instance accepted
Negotiated with terrorists.
Yes, to go and negotiate and get those people affected out.
While some were killed.
While some were killed, which they succeeded in doing to an extent.
Is it success, really?
Well, to the
when the
extent
terrorists
that
are still out there.
to the extent that no, I don't think there's anybody remaining there apart from the ones killed. The rest were released after collecting.
No, I mean the terrorists now. The terrorists are still out there.
Yes, the terrorists are still
bragging.
there. Bragging,
Basically.
of course. But every day is for the thief. One day is for the owner of the house. So they can continue to brag. But I strongly believe that sooner or later, a good chunk of them, especially this clique, will be cleared off. I think they have narrowed themselves down to Niger as we speak. They are presently around it. And you see, sometimes they drop names. Maybe this so-called Kachala they are talking about, maybe hiding somewhere in Sambisa forest. And they are trying to, they want to terrorize you with names and bravado that they are all over the place. Meanwhile, it will just be one ragtag, useless group moving from one area of the forest in Niger to the other. And like what happened to the military is unfortunate. Unfortunate in the sense that the operation is getting more dangerous. I had expected that in such operations they wouldn't be using unprotected vehicles. They would have been using armor-plated vehicles in this, especially when it is night movement. So that if they open fire, it will only be waste of bullets. It will not alert them that the idiots they are looking for are around here. It will only entail opening their ports and spraying the whole place. By now, the story would have been the other way. They would have picked the idiots, collected all their arms. But unfortunately, some of them were in Hilux vehicles and doing a night movement. It is extremely dangerous. And it's not recommended. Like in the police don't conduct night operations. They don't do that. When I was in the mobile, that's one of the trainings we had while in Boza.
Why? Because you don't have enough equipment?
Even if you have enough equipment, it's not safe. You can run into ambush. And night is out of the question completely. Plan yourselves, do it daylight. That's when you record a lot of success. If you enter in the night, anything can happen. And especially when you're not protected. If you are in
Why
Amo,
shouldn't you be protected?
that's the
There is
error. That's the miscalculation I'm
there's
telling
a
you.
lot of money being budgeted
That is
for
that is the
defense.
problem. That is exactly where I was emphasizing. That people going for such delicate operations should be in protection vehicles.
Okay, so but now that they are not in protected vehicles, what then is the problem? Is it that the money is being budgeted and not used?
It's left for them to explain that.
Them being who now?
Because I know they will do in-house inquiries.
Them is who now? The government?
No, the military themselves.
Okay.
They will do in-house inquiries and investigation to know the immediate and remote causes that would have led to that loss of personnel and their arms and ammunition. It's really unfortunate and sad that it happened because it's like it demoralizes the fighting troops if such thing happen. Although, when they want to go for counter-offensive, they'll come all out to seek for their pound of flesh. And I'm sure they'll do that. There's no way these criminals will get far.
Okay, going for counter-offensive is one thing.
Yes.
Demoralizing the combatants
yes.
is a
Another
major thing entirely.
Yes.
Because with the video that has come out, whether it is true or not, now the military is saying it's propaganda.
It is.
That's what the military is saying.
I believe so.
But then we cannot hide from the fact that people were killed.
Of course, people were
People
killed.
were ambushed and killed.
Of course, of course.
So these people have family members. Now the family members would want they want answers. They want to hear, okay, what happened truly to my brother? What happened truly to my father? What happened to my sister or mother? You know, what happened to my people there? And now we are having a terrorist group claiming responsibility.
Yes.
This, of course, will instill some level of fear in the combatants themselves.
I don't think so. The reason is that anybody that has signed to join the military has signed to go there and come back, dead or alive. So, for the fact that that incident happened will not in any way deter them from going for even more daring mission. The only thing they will do now is to be sure that they take extreme precaution. They'll be very, very cautious. I don't think with this thing that happened, they will think of night operation again. They will not do that. Or if it is an operation that must be done, whether night or day, then they will plan absolute watertight arrangement and be sure they deploy vehicles that are fully protected. I'm talking of armored vehicles. Because people carrying AK can't pose much threat to armored vehicles unless you have mortar, which I am certain is not available to those miscreants. Mortar is being fired by both the armor and the artillery corps of the military. They don't have that. They don't have that capacity. So what they have is all this AK and GPMG, you know, general multipurpose gun and all that, with chain, and it's not enough to pierce the armored vehicles. So the highest is that you know that there is firing. It will be hitting the place. Then the people inside will now get themselves set, looking for the slightest opportunity
but
to
the terrain,
fight
does the
back.
terrain even encourage that? The topography, doesn't encourage such movement of armored
Armored vehicles.
yes, armored
Well,
cars.
the vehicle you're using, the Hilux, and the ones that are not protected, if they can do that, what stops armored vehicle from going through the terrain?
So why hasn't the government provided armored vehicles?
They have
for
provided.
the soldiers?
They have provided. The question is whether the ones they have is sufficient, whether they have enough. But in such critical areas, they are supposed to have deployed those vehicles to those areas. Because they know the modus operandi of those people. They are used to ambush. That's their major focus on how to ambush and destabilize the opposing military force, or whether it is other armed security agencies.
Okay, so what is the role of sleeper cells? Don't we have sleeper cells that will provide valuable intel? Just the same way Boko Haram approached this individual, as it has been said, approached him and recruited him. Uh, couldn't couldn't the military approach certain individuals that are probably repentant and
Use them.
use them
Okay.
to get valuable intel, or get somebody else who is, who knows the area, who knows, just plant the person there, let him infiltrate these groups and provide valuable intel. Why can't we do that?
How are you sure they've not done that?
If they do that, would
They,
they be
they've
prone to
been
such ambushes?
No, they've been doing that. The thing is that the military intelligence, they are working 24/7, but they cannot be everywhere at the same time. And I am sure that this area where they were attacked, they must have had their intelligence, but they didn't know that there will be this type of infiltration. Because like I told you, these terrorists are pedestrian in their operation. They can strike here in Ikeja, Mafoluku axis. Before you look left or right, they are in Ikorodu, or they are in Badagry or Epe. And the way they move, they walk. They walk. Some use motorcycles. So before you know it, and they use track roads. And they already mastered the area. And they know that once they do this, that retaliation is coming. So they have left the menace for the civil populace around that area. So that if the military bombards the place, they will miss their target. The next one is that you will see them in Nepe or even in Jebuode. They will go there and begin to plan another operation. And they also have their own informants who will monitor the military and tell them that you see their movement, so they are coming in so and so direction. You see, and that's what I stated earlier, that in asymmetric war, you need to be extremely careful, because if you come to raid a complete village, you may not get your target. It will just be innocent farmers and villagers that will fall victim to it. That is why in such a kinetic or non-kinetic wars or fights, there's a lot of calculation that is factored in to be sure that you minimize civilian casualty. That is why these people are having this opportunity to do this type of havoc and get away with it. But in this case, I don't think they'll get away with it. Just watch out what will happen in the next couple of weeks.
Okay. As we are watching, and we do hope that the military will apprehend these individuals.
We don't need to apprehend. We need to wipe them out, and if possible,
well,
pick one or two that will give more information on their camps and hideouts.
it's interesting that you said we need to wipe them out, because
of course,
what the information I've been privy to is that when some of these bandits and Boko Haram fighters are caught, the military are told not to kill them. They are told to bring them in for questioning.
Of course.
And then we see a situation whereby a lot of them, hundreds of them that are captured, are later de-radicalized. That's the word being used, and later reintroduced to the society as repentant Boko Haram terrorists or repentant bandits, as the case may be.
I think following up to this, they are following the United Nations Convention on Prisoners of War. When you capture them, not in combat, maybe in their camps, if you go and wipe them out, there will be hues and cries of extrajudicial killing and all that. That's what the military is really respecting. That's why they get them and try to radicalize them. But the ones caught on war fronts who are actually there firing and doing combat, do you have to spare them? Level them and pick one or two to come and give you information. And forget those ones you have destroyed.
All right, now let's look at something that the former head of defense said, Alex Bade. He talked about fifth columnist in the security establishment. Could that revelation be more helpful at this time?
You see, the issue of fifth columnists, I believe it is there, whether we like it or not. And it does not help the situation in any way, especially if the fifth columnists are within your own security forces. They are the ones that will be working at cross purpose with the noble intention of securing the nation. They will always be the ones that will be giving information to the other side. On few occasions, they are picked out and dealt with accordingly.
So as it stands now, those fighting the state have planted moles.
Of course.
But the state, as big as it is,
of course,
has been unable to plant moles in their own midst.
To plant moles in their own midst is extremely dangerous. Because in their group or circle, it's like oath-taking thing. And every movement of every member is monitored 24/7. Whether you're making calls, you're having your discussion, or you have gone to pray, you know, that based on the information, intelligence that has been gathered on these people, it is not easy to plant a mole amongst them and the person comes out alive. So rather than planting a mole amongst terrorists, you can plant a mole amongst the community where the terrorists operate, so that they will be able to give you facts and figures on their movements and their modus operandi. Such persons can infiltrate the community since he can speak the language and pretend to be a migrant farmer or a cattle rearer, and then will be passing information quietly to the appropriate authority for necessary action.
Now, but why do you think these communities are not outrightly giving them up? Are we seeing a situation whereby they have sympathizers?
I don't think they are sympathetic to the cause of the terrorists. It is out of fear that makes them, fear of survival. You know, because they believe that these people can do and undo. They can come and raise down the entire village, kill everybody, irrespective of whether you speak the same language or you have the same faith, you are, in the same religion. They don't believe that. They believe it's either you are for them or you are against them. And if they have cause to believe you are against them, consider that everybody there is wiped out. We have seen it in the past. Boko Haram will come and wipe out an entire village, take their women, take their children, and take their herds of cattle. So that is why the communities are so scared and operate with caution. Even anybody making phone calls is being very, very careful, because you don't know whether the discussion is being tapped by the enemy forces.
But unfortunately, the state has more facilities to do such things, but then the terrorists seem to be using whatever they have better than the state. Yes, what do you make of that?
The thing is that the terrain is too wide. The terrain is too wide. If they tell you the size of Sambisa forest, where do you have the manpower? Combined police personnel that does joint task force with the military. They can hardly cover the terrain. And some of the people pretending to be farmers and villagers are working for the terrorists. They are the ones that pass and say, Ranka did this and that, and cross you, only to get to one end and tell them your location, that they are here, so that they shouldn't make attempt to come this way. And even give out information there on their strength and capacity. They may tell them, the way I see, if you attempt it, it will be suicidal. Don't even come this side. Go and use the other axis and do what you want to do on the other area. And that is why you stay there, day in, day out. You won't see them. If you have been in the system and read the situation reports that sent from those areas, you see that it is very, very delicate and it is a very serious business. It's not something you can easily break down overnight.
Well, this incident has created serious humanitarian crisis
It has.
in that region. Do you
It
think the
has.
government has the capacity to cope with it at this time?
Sorry?
Do you think the government can cope with it at this time?
It's really difficult because if you look at the economic situation too, the country is having so much to contend with. We are talking of inflation, we are talking of removal of fuel subsidy. All those things have multiplier effects, you know, and it has really affected spendings and virtually everything in the system. So it's not something that you can sort out overnight. It will take a long, long while.
I was going to ask you a question. Let me just drop it very quickly.
Go ahead.
Not too long ago, I think some days back, we heard that was it last week or thereabout? We heard that about 25 military personnel resigned, and the rumor, well, better still, the word on the street was that they left the force due to poor conditions of service, but the military authorities came out to say no, that disbarment, I think that's the word.
Okay. Demobilization?
Well, okay. That from time to time, personnel that feel, okay, they have served and they want to go into other things would usually just put in their papers, and then if it's approved, they are let off and they get on with their lives. What do you make of the fact 25 of them? 25 of them at the same time?
Well, it's a normal thing. Some have reasons to serve to a point.
And you think it's
Maybe
out of fear?
Not
That,
fear.
look,
I don't think it's.
we are being overpowered.
No. It's not a question of being overpowered. Some people have their reasons. Maybe on health ground, they may have been checked by the medical experts and advised that the nature of the job they are doing is too heavy for their health, that it is better they put in the towel and they board them. You know, they will process it and it gets up to the appropriate person or authority that will approve for boarding those personnel. Then they will ease them out of the system so that they can go and manage their health and at least be there for their families.
Okay.
It's a normal thing. It's even done in other security agencies and the police.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Now, you said something about night operations not being the best.
It's not.
Is that why we see when calls are made, when SOS calls are made to the police, especially at night time, that operation is happening somewhere, people are being robbed somewhere, the police would usually not show up in time. They should, most times they show up way after the perpetrators are done and gone.
Well,
Is it out of fear that?
no, it's not out of fear. I think we are talking of two different
Yes,
scenarios.
I'm coming to, you know.
Why I said there are two different scenarios. I'm talking of a war front. War front is different. War front operations are done by the counter-terror units of the police mobile force, and the special forces. Those are the ones that work directly with the military. So that's where we warn against night operation.
Okay.
But on the civil or regular police, what you have in the stations as divisional police officers level, area commanders and so on, nothing stops you from responding to distress calls. But the only thing there is that you approach with caution when it is happening. And that is why it is emphasized that police should do proactive policing than reactive. If you're reacting, it's more cumbersome you could end up losing lives and arms and ammunition. But if you are proactive, that is where you do patrols, position vehicles in key and vulnerable places so as to prevent the criminals from coming out and conducting those nefarious activities. In other words, it is expected, usually, that those bandits do the same recce that you do to see whether it's safe to go for the operation. And they'll tell them that police is at the key points, that there is no escape route. So there is no need even trying. Let them forget about that operation. So that's exactly what happens.
All right then. Well, let's go into another topic now. We do have two topics. We've stretched this one. Now, on the second topic for today, the management of the National Assembly says the 2 million naira paid to all senators last week was not a vacation allowance. The Assembly said this on Tuesday in a statement by its Secretary, Research and Information, Ali Umaru, on behalf of the Clerk to the National Assembly, Sani Tambuwal. Now, after screening and confirmation of the ministerial nominees on the 7th of August, the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, informed senators that money had been credited to their bank accounts to enjoy their holiday, which started same day. Now, sources said each of the 109 senators received 2 million naira allowance before going on the 7 weeks holiday. The Senate Chief Whip, Ali Ndume, also said there was no big deal in all the senators receiving 2 million naira each for their vacation allowance, noting that it was not unusual. The 2 million naira allowance given to the senators is illegal, as no such provision is made in the remuneration package approved by Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission, RAMFAC. That's the body authorized by law to prepare salaries and allowances for public servants. Now, research also has shown that there is also no provision for a token in the RAMFAC package for senators. But under the law, lawmakers are entitled to a recess allowance, which is 10% of the annual basic salary of each legislator, and that is paid once a year. Now, following the rage and anger that some Nigerians expressed over the payment amid the hardship in the country, Ali Umaru said in the statement that the 2 million naira paid to each of the senators was part of the running cost of their office and that it was budgeted for. Now, he also stressed that the allowances are the entitlements of the senators. All right. Now, calling it, if it's an entitlement, would the speaker, would the Senate president, I beg your pardon, would the Senate president call it a token for their enjoyment? In as much as he took the statement back, but hey, words spoken cannot be taken back, really.
If you know the person of Godswill Akpabio, Senator Godswill Akpabio, the former governor of Akwa Ibom State, he is very humorous. At every second, he tries to crack jokes. And I believe what he said that day was trying to crack jokes without realizing that the thing was being picked by the microphone and the electronic gadgets in the National Assembly. Well, having said that, the onus now lies on the clerk of the National Assembly's revelation and the distinguished chambers of the Senate to come and, if possible, explain to us, Nigerians, because they owe us that explanation, where the 2 million naira each that was given to them to enjoy their holidays came from. If it didn't come from appropriation or their entitlements, as you've just raised, the issue of 10% of their salary being paid to them as holiday or recess allowance, then it's left for them to tell us the source of that money. Because the money will give space, if it's not addressed properly, it will give space for speculations. And the speculation is not far-fetched from alleging that it's proceed of official corruption. Maybe as is being touted around and as is being alleged that the ministerial nominees would have been the ones that provided that sum so that they'll have a smooth sail during their, interface with the members of the red chambers in the screening process. So as time goes on, I'm sure the upper legislative house will need to explain to Nigerians where the 2 million came from.
All right, so if we look at that amount, it's 2 million.
Yes.
That's the amount we're told. It
Yes.
could be more, but that's the amount we're told.
No, but from what I saw in the social media, one of the senators who was credited
Showed his bank alert.
Yes, he showed his bank alert that 2 million was paid in there. And from what we had too, by way of rumors, that there is grouse that the 2 million was actually a token compared to what
should have received.
What would have been received. In other words, they are questioning the credibility of the executive management of the Senate of not being open to tell them that this is the source of the money, this is exactly what has come in, this is the way we want to at least give them breakdown of.
So they are angry.
They seem to be angry. They seem to be angry.
And this is
if you look at the members of the red chambers, they are all men of timber and caliber. They are people of means who are even in a position to dash out 2 million to.
Yeah, they're people of means that
Yes.
were basically given a mandate to represent a constituency, to represent people.
Yes.
And to represent the states, and so they are there to represent people.
Exactly.
And the people they are to represent are still asking the government for palliatives,
Of course.
to cushion the effect of the removal of subsidy.
Yes.
The people they are to represent are still talking about how much 8,000 naira a month will do for them, and they're still talking about how much that will not even solve any problem. They are still talking. There's still talks. Now this cumulatively comes up to about 218 million.
Well,
For 2 million for 109 senators, comes up to about 218 million. That's a lot of money, isn't it?
Let me tell you one thing. If you look at these people in red chambers, many of them there, just went there to keep busy. It's not as if they are looking at the money they are going to make.
You think so?
I think so. Many of them are ex-governors. Some had been ex-ministers. Some have held positions of responsibility. Some have been captains of industry. Yes. So what is 2 million to them? I'm telling you, it's just a token to them.
It's a holiday. It's a holiday allowance.
That is what I'm telling you. The 2 million, can it get you a ticket to the U.S.?
Should they be going to the U.S.
No,
at
I'm
this
just
time?
giving you an example.
I know.
It can't get you a ticket to even to UK. 2 million may not be able to get you a good flight to UK. So what are they talking about, the 2 million? The emphasis should be that issue of 8,000 palliative is nonsense. It can't go anywhere. They should think of the committee set up on palliatives. I don't know whether they have constituted themselves to sit. They should focus on what should benefit the masses. Get the masses high capacity buses and let them pay almost pittance to board on those vehicles. Flood the major routes so that even the working class should benefit from it. It is more than that 8,000 they plan to give to them, which I'm sure they will be having a rethink now, that it will not go anywhere. If you give you 8,000, for instance, if you own a car, if you fuel car 8,000, we are talking of 12 liters or thereabouts. By the time you drive from here to Ikorodu and come back,
You
or
cannot,
drive
you
to,
may not even come. You may not be able to come back.
you may not be able to come back. Is it not better that they pad the whole thing, get high capacity buses, you pay 100 naira to join them. Then it will take you from Ikorodu and drop you in Oshodi or drop you in Ikeja, or maybe 150 naira. Than for you to be paying 500 or 600 naira to come to Ikeja and 500 or 600 naira to go back. That money will not cover you for even 1 week, for 5 working days. It's not possible. So that is where the emphasis should go, on immediate response to the harsh economic realities we are facing. Then they can now start talking of medium and long-term plan on how to galvanize the economy, or get it, grow the economy once again. And then when we are talking of medium and long-term, we are talking of fixing the refineries so that we can refine our products domestically. It is better for us. Because as the scenario now is such that price of crude is gone up to $86 a barrel. All things being equal, even if you're able to checkmate oil theft, whatever resources that is being made is going to government. They will use it to run day-to-day of the system. But the consumers, the workers, the masses are not the beneficiaries, because they will now go the other side to go and buy products. It will go from 570, 600 to 700 plus, because the refineries overseas will buy at 86, refine, and sell it for what they have bought at their own profit. So by the time the landing cost is such that government cannot control, even the NNPC cannot control.
A lot of people will argue this, and a lot of people are of the opinion that we shouldn't. Well, the bottom line is that we need the refineries to work.
Even if it is one, let them start with Port Harcourt. Then later they can go to Warri. Let it start production. Once again, refine and distribute. It will help a long way. It will, at least this instability that is there in terms of the pricing will not be there. It is there because, number one, if you look at the foreign exchange, vis-a-vis to Naira, you see the way the Naira is sliding. And those products are not bought in Naira. They are bought in foreign exchange. And if you look at the other side, the overseas refineries producing those products they are not Father Christmas. The price cannot be static. They will sell and make their profit. And since the downstream oil sector has been completely deregulated, so it is what you buy, you come down here and sell. The only thing there is that the regulatory authority will make sure that you are not making a supernormal profit.
Okay. Yes. Now let's look at the senators now. What's your opinion on the fact that some people are saying that what they earn, what they take home, some of those things that accrue to them should be reduced, and maybe the money is used to put the lives of other Nigerians in order. What's your opinion on that?
My opinion on that is that I am of the school of thought that if we want to be honest to ourselves, we need to cut the cost of governance completely. What are we doing with 48 ministers? If it is possible, cut it by...
as it stands.
No, well, whatever it is.
It might go up later.
Cut it by 50% if it is possible. If you want to do the quota thing, the others who are not able to make ministerial posting, give them DGs of ministries, departments, and agencies. They have represented their geopolitical zones or their states. This is not the time for razzmatazz or for roller coaster, disbursements of funds that are not there. This is not the appropriate time for that. What we should focus on is production. for us to get our acts right. Think of how to, one, improve the security in agrarian areas, encourage farmers, give them the working tools, give them the pesticides, fertilizers, and the seedlings. Let them go into total production. Have enough to feed our people so that there won't be need. Block importation of food if it is possible. Have excess, preserve them in silos, export and end foreign exchange. That is the focus the government should be thinking of as we speak. Cut down the cost of governance considerably, if it is possible. If it is by way of referendum, this National Assembly bogus that we are having, when we don't have money, the nation is very, very poor as we speak. They need to close down, if it is possible, close down that House of Representatives. We don't need them. The Senate, make it less attractive. Cut whatever they are being paid as low as to 10%. The people should have their offices, have their businesses. They should be coming on part-time. That's what a lot of other countries do. Then we will now know that we are serious. We are being patriotic. We are becoming nationalistic in solving our problem. I'm talking of this because of the coming generation. Because it's like the coming generation have absolutely no future. So if things are done in this direction, then we are moving forward.
All right, then. Thank you very much, CP Chuks, who is the former Commissioner of Police, or your state. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, that's the show for today. I must say a very big thank you to you for staying with us. From the crew, I am Moses, on behalf of the crew, I beg your pardon, on behalf of the crew, I am Moses Humphrey saying thank you. Political Voice will make a return tomorrow. Bye for now.